I've been crying since last night. I'm kind of all over the place. I just woke up. I look rough, right? I mean, I'm literally in clothes from yesterday. I didn't shower, you know, and I'm breaking out because I decided to eat cheese. I wanted to be authentic, and I know I haven't shared videos on grief or Frankie, and I wanted to honor him. And the point is that I wanted to make a video as raw as this because this is real. You know, I'm not here to make videos just, you know, to get on and look pretty and get likes and views and shit. This is about I'm here to talk about real stuff and help people move through stuff, help people heal. And I'm healing too. And I know that it's possible I'm gonna cry about Frankie for the rest of my life. Grief takes all forms. There's so many forms. There's not one right way to grieve. You don't have to say I'm sorry, and just let the person cry. Because you know what? Maybe when you're there, when that person breaks down, maybe it's the first time they're ever breaking down. And maybe that's when they finally felt safe. Maybe something about you has activated something within them so their heart can open up and so they can cry. This is coming from someone, from me, and if you know anything about me, or you go and you Google and look up my website and this and that, and you see all the stuff I talk about and things that I experience, you know, I want you to see that someone like me also is grieving. Someone like me has not gotten over it. I want to share a secret with you. I don't know if we'll ever get over it. Boom! I'm laying it out there for you. I don't think we'll ever get over it. But if I ever do get over it, I'll let you know. Hello, people. This video is going to be about grief and grieving, and I've never done a video about this before. I'm not sure why, but probably because I wasn't fully ready to talk about it. That's probably what it is. And I think every individual who has experienced someone who has passed on from here, we all go through grief in our own ways, so obviously I'm no different. And for me, it was my best friend who I called my cousin. He wasn't really my blood cousin. He wasn't a blood relative. It's just that when It's just that when me and my mom and my sisters moved into this ghetto, it really was a ghetto, Section 8 living, after my parents split, and being a Puerto Rican, I'm just spitting tears everywhere, a Puerto Rican family in Indiana. It's not hot. It's not a... First of all, there weren't other Latinos around yet, and so when we moved to this ghetto, after we had been through some shit, before that apartment, we had another apartment before that, but got it with the help of our former church. But before that, we lived in a shelter for a while. When we arrived to this apartment complex, which we called the G side, I don't even remember when, I don't remember how. I don't remember how we met his sister Anita, but we met her and right away found out they were also Puerto Rican. We're Puerto Rican, so we got so excited. And then we went to meet their parents and meet the whole family, and after that, you know, we just we clicked, and then we just were like, we're just gonna stick together, man. We're the only ones, we're gonna stick together. And we decided, you know what, we're gonna tell everyone we meet we're cousins. It doesn't matter, we're cousins now, okay? So that's how that happened. So when we met, it was originally me, my sister, and Anita. We were friends, like this trio, 3PR, that's what we called ourselves. But Frankie was always there, and like when we would go over Anita's house, Frankie would be there. He'd be in the living room. Or if like we went to stay the night, Frankie would have to sleep downstairs, you know, because Latino families are strict as fuck. And He's okay. Wolfie's chewing a branch right under the tripod. So yeah, our uncle made Frankie sleep downstairs while we were upstairs. And so if I ever wanted to go get food or a snack or water or something, and I'd go downstairs, I'd see him down there. And I'd just be like, hey Frankie, what's up? How you doing, man? I would talk to him. You know, why wouldn't I talk to him? Anytime I saw him, I talked to him, even though Anita was my close friend. You know, I acknowledged him and would chat with him all the time. I wouldn't find out till later that no one else did this. My sister didn't do it. None of Anita's other friends would do it. So that's while we were in high school. I was 14, you know, 14 through 18. And then after I went to college, I moved away. And there's this big bright cardinal up there. See, I had always wondered when I saw cardinals if it was him, because he was the biggest Cardinals fan. So Louisville Cardinals, okay, U of L, he used to rep them like crazy. And so after he passed and I started to notice cardinals coming around, I don't know if cardinals were coming to me before then. I don't know. I wish I remembered. I remember seeing cardinals here and there before he passed. I do know that. But maybe I just started to pay attention because he passed away. But you know, I'm talking about him now, and now there's a cardinal right there, and I know you can hear him because he's loud. So where was I? I went off to college. Whole new life, right? And, you know, you start to see other people, and I think there's a female cardinal in the honeysuckle bush. So, you know, yeah, I started seeing other people. When I would come back to the town and visit family, I don't even know how. Because at this point, me and Frankie we didn't talk. You know, we didn't stay in touch. And honestly, like I said, like in high school, we weren't like best friends yet. But we would say, hey, I never like ignored him. I never treated him like shit. I always acknowledged him. I always gave him respect and laughed and whatever with him, right? And we had mutual friends. Like everybody in that neighborhood, you know, we had our own little groups, but we all knew each other. Like me and my sister and Anita, the K3PR, and then the dudes like Frankie and Cameron and this other guy, Cameron was always skating around. I can't remember if Frankie skated or not. So we would always like all hang out in the parking lot and stuff. Got like my own hair in my mouth. Yep, my own hair. I'm sorry. You gotta understand, like I didn't give you context. I've been crying since last night. I don't know. I can't even remember why. I can't remember how he got brought up in my memory. I just know that around 10 p.m. I'm sitting there with Ty watching the UFC fights, and something came up and Frankie, boom. I thought of him, and then I just started bawling. And this doesn't always happen. When I think of Frankie sometimes I don't cry. And for the longest, there were times I didn't cry. So like I said, my process has been different. So I'm kind of all over the place. I just woke up. I look rough, right? I mean, I'm literally in clothes from yesterday. I didn't shower, you know, and I'm breaking out because I decided to eat cheese. I have a very difficult relationship with cheese, although I shouldn't be eating cheese or any dairy, to be honest. So Frankie and I were not close friends when I went off to college, but there was a point in time when I don't know how, if he reached out to me or I reached out to him to say hey on Facebook. So when I came back into town one time, we decided to like get together and catch up because it had been so long. It had been years. And after that moment of catching up with one another, it's like we would touch base here or there, but we still had our own lives and a lot of shit happened. And you know, then I got into a relationship, a very abusive relationship, which I've vocalized a lot in other videos. So that I was in this relationship for 2 to 3 years, And when I was able to finally get away from him in 2012, so a huge awakening for a lot of us starseeds who were activated. When I decided to move back to town, right, hometown, and that's how me and Frankie reconnected. I actually think that I had been in Jeffersonville for a while, and then my sister was out in Cali at the time and needed help, so I flew out to be with her, and Frankie pops up. And lo and behold, he is in an abusive relationship. He is in a relationship that was so similar to the one that I had just left, right? Except it's a woman. Oh yeah, just to let you know, there are women who are abusive. There are women who are narcissists, okay? And his ex was a narc, and she was doing all the little things that my ex did to me. You know, what's it called? Oh, I can't think right now. Gaslighting. She would gaslight the fuck out of him. She'd blame him for things that he hadn't done. Constantly trying to make him feel guilty. Constantly starting fights. Doing things that are not honorable or authentic, and, you know, constantly hurting him. Making excuses, not taking responsibility for her behavior. And literally being abusive. Verbally, emotionally, mentally, physically. And Frankie is so much like me. Literally, he was also a Pisces. Born a little bit before me. He was born towards the beginning. He was on the cusp of Aquarius and Pisces. And if you know any other Pisces other than me, we're sensitive as hell. We're so sensitive. And we're so giving. And we're so loving. And many of us Pisces have to learn in our lifetime how to build boundaries, how to create those boundaries, and to stand firm in our truth. And it's sad, but we have to learn that basically not everyone on the planet is as nice as we are. Not everyone on the planet is as willing to be giving or forgiving or loving. And it's hard. It's hard on us. And not only was he a Pisces, he was an empath. Very sensitive soul. You know, he was gifted. I'm so sure he was also a starseed, okay? And this relationship was tearing him apart. And so I was so happy that he popped up to talk to me, and I guess I noticed stuff. So I started speaking truth right away, like, hey, you don't seem healthy, you seem down, you know, asking him questions, showing concern. And he told me everything and how hard it's been to get away from her. So through that, we immediately clicked and bonded again, and this is how our actual friendship bloomed. From that moment on, I started guiding him through to get out of that relationship and into his power again. I just made sure to be there and not disappear on him, and just continue to tell him, no, you're not crazy. No, you do definitely deserve better. A person who loves you does not do those things. That's not love. So when he finally left the relationship, it was like such a huge, you know, victory. And we it was so cool after that. We were two peas in a pod, and we both promised each other we were going to help each other through our healing journeys, because as you remember, I had just a few months ago left my abusive ex-boyfriend. So we were like, you know what, we're going to help one another heal, and we're going to remind each other to not take shit. We're not going to go back into the same patterns. We're going to help each other become better people, and we're going to lift one another up, and we're gonna get fit together. Like, we just made all these plans, and it was true, and we stuck to it. We really did. We encouraged one another on every aspect. And I could tell that he he was already a spiritually awake person, but everybody in his life tried to make him feel like he was crazy. So it's like when he finally met me, maybe that's him. I don't know. I mean, if you know me, you know I tune into spirit and I can hear, but for whatever reason, maybe it's because I want to hear from him so bad that I feel like I can't. And maybe some of you have experienced that as well. It's like I went to bed crying last night, just begging for him to come through in my dreams or speak to me. You know, no, they don't. Energy doesn't need to come through dreams for me to hear them, but it would have been nice. It would have been nice to see him. So that's how Frankie and I became close. We both met at very pivotal moments in our life. Not met, we reconnected at very pivotal moments in our life. And while I believe he was part of that wave, all these souls who were receiving their activations and waking up, having a lot of information ignite within their DNA. It's in our blueprint. So it is for you too, at different moments in time, for you to receive information and integrate it and then fulfill or do whatever it is that you need to do in your life, or whatever work or whatever it is you need to study or know. So yeah, that's how we reconnected, and we were each other's backbone, support, you know, freaking cheerleader. We were best friends. And so he's the first person that is very close to me that has passed on. Other than my cat, who was my guide. I know as a child I did grieve my cat too. With my cat, I know that I remember being so sad, and actually my cat died while I was in that apartment, that little neighborhood apartment complex that I met Frankie and Anita. That was also a very pivotal moment in my life where a lot of stuff had happened, you know, mainly between my parents. And so the children, we were affected. And I loved Tiger so much. You know, he wasn't a normal cat. He wasn't just a pet. He was family. And he was my guide. He was my guardian. He was with me everywhere. And I could feel that. We would communicate all the time. So it sucked so bad when he passed away. Fuck it, I'm eating a cookie while I do this. So now that I've given you the backstory of me and Frankie, you know, life went on. We've had our both had our adventures, you know. I went off to Italy. He was so happy for me and so proud of me for like saving all that money and making this huge plan and project with my other good friend at the time, Jessica. I don't know if any of you guys remember that. Some of you really have been around that long, where I went off to Italy in 2013 and then did the project Soul Stories. So yeah, he was also so mad at me. He didn't want me, he wanted to be alone, and I understand that. And I kept telling him, I'm coming back, and some things, cousin, you gotta do on your own. You can't always have me. You gotta learn to do this on your own. But I believe in you, and you're gonna do great. We stayed in contact while I was in Italy, of course. You know, my best bud. Then he got annoyed at me when I went off to Philly. Parts of me want to say that Philadelphia was a mistake because I hated that city. I'd tell some of you guys that. I've written about it. It's just definitely not my cup of tea, and people there are so fucking mean. And it was a lesson I had to learn. You know, I moved out there for a person, for a guy, and he was not standing in his authenticity. So basically he had like, it was a mask that he showed to me. So when I got there, I definitely saw the true him and his life and stuff. So I came back. You know, every time I moved away and came back, he was here. Our friendship never stopped. That's what I'm trying to say, okay? Well, Frankie passed away summer solstice. This is how clever he is. Like, I don't know if he did this on purpose. Like, you know what? Summer solstice is coming up. I know it's a huge portal. This is when I want to go. I don't know at like what level of awareness when he chose this, okay? But I know he did. But I just don't know at, like, did he fully know, fully embodied, you know, as a human? Did he make that choice, or was it at the soul level, you know? Like, I really... But it's so clever. It was such a huge, important portal. There was so much going on in 2017. I don't know if you experienced it or remember, but in 2017, Ty and I experienced so many timeline shifts, timeline merges, and there was so much going on in the spiritual realm, so much going on in the astral realms. And for those who have the awareness, who have the gifts to be doing the work in the ethereal realms, right? There was so much going on between, wow, between light and dark. So much going on with the agenda on the planet of the beings who want to keep humans as slaves, who want to continue indoctrinating and programming them. These beings who are in contact with certain individuals on our planet to keep us programmed and from evolving the way we are naturally meant to. Everything is supposed to evolve. Okay, but there's been an agenda to keep humans from evolving naturally, so that humans can continue to be slaves and energetic food. I go into this more on revealing the agenda. I have a playlist, I have other videos. I will be getting into it more in dismantling the parasitic structure. I believe that's the series, okay? So bloop, let's go on. Anyways, 2017 was huge with all this shit going down. And Ty and I had this amazing, insane communion and journey with psilocybin on June 8th, 9th, or 10th. It's one of those days, okay? And during this communion, during this journey, we saw it. We saw these entities, and we transmuted all that we could, right? And we could see so strongly that a lot of this had to do with pedophilia, sexual manipulation, perversion, okay? And when we came back from doing our journey out in the forest, it was all over the news about Clinton and all those other people with, what is it, Pizzagate or whatever? Pizza, whatever. The pedophilia ring. And I was like, oh my God, this is insane. So this is also what we were seeing. But on top of that, you know, we were clearing for the collective, but we were also clearing for ourselves, because we were subjected to this sick behavior when we were children. I heard from Frankie on the 10th of June, and he seemed fine, you know, and normally he would tell me when he's down. He'd tell me he's pissed off or upset or whatever. He was so vocal about his feelings. We both were. We were always so open. And he said he was good, that he had just made sergeant at work. I said, hey, that's awesome. That's the last time I heard from him. Like a week later on the solstice, so it's June 20th or 21st. Like literally around 4 a.m., okay? Around 4 a.m., it's still dark outside. My brother comes into my room and tells me he got a call that Frankie died. And I didn't know what to do with that. I just stared at him and I was just said, what? And he repeated himself. And I just stared at him. I was like, what? Then I remember going into the bathroom to get Ty and tell him, and I didn't know what to do. I just literally looked at Ty and told him what happened, and then I started laughing. And then I didn't know why I was laughing, so I was like trying to cover my face. And Ty told me it's okay, sometimes this happens. So a lot of people deal with pain and sadness in so many ways. Sometimes we laugh when we are in a shock. And I was in shock. I knew that I was upset, but this is the thing with me, and maybe some of you have noticed, I don't know, that sometimes when I, like, and I think that that's why I've had some problems with friends before, is that I'm so in touch with my spirit that being in my spirit and not in my body is more natural. Like, being in my body is so unnatural to me. And I've had to work for years to be embodied. I got another video on that. I could put it up there somewhere, where Mother Ayahuasca really helped me to understand this and to work on embodiment. So when I heard the news of Frankie dying, it's like, I didn't cry. I didn't cry for a while. I just understood. And this happens a lot. Like, people will come to me with news or whatever, and they're so upset, they're so in their emotions and in their physical body that, you know, they're going through it, they're feeling it, they're processing it as a human being. But for me, most of the time, I'm processing it and understanding it from the spiritual level. And so with Frankie was no different. I didn't cry. I didn't cry for a while. Okay, so I had to restart the camera because I don't know if it's just my phone acting up, because we did just have to put in a new camera because I broke our old camera by trying to take a really cool video of a lightning storm. It could be that, or it's Frankie fucking with me. I do remember him doing that literally, like the day after his funeral. He came to our house and like messed with the lights while we were talking about him, and then I was like, oh yeah, it's Frankie. And my siblings didn't believe me, so I was like, okay, just ask if it's him. And when they asked, he made the lights flicker again, so I feel like, yeah, I thought I had a leaf in there. So also it's getting really hot, and I'm getting kind of frustrated because I'm like, Frankie, if you can fuck with my phone, if you can bring a bird over here, just bring your ass in person, appear to me real fast, and let's have a quick chat. So anyways, I do want to finish this video though. This is important. I feel it's important because, I don't know, I'm sure there's other badasses out there who talk about grief for more than a physical aspect, okay, in the spiritual community, but I feel like I need to share on it too. You know, because grief takes all forms. There's so many forms. There's not one right way to grieve, you know? And just because you're on your spiritual journey, I just want to let you know, this is coming from someone, from me. And if you know anything about me, or you go and you Google and look up my website and this and that, and you see all the stuff I talk about and things that I experience, you know, I want you to see that someone like me also is grieving. Someone like me has not gotten over it. I want to share a secret with you. I don't know if we'll ever get over it. Boom! I'm laying it out there for you. I don't think we'll ever get over it. But if I ever do get over it, I'll let you know. But I haven't. It's been 3 years. It's been 3 years, and it seems like the further away from the date of his passing, I cry more. I was trying to tell you before the camera shut off that I didn't cry for a while. I don't even know if I don't think I cried at his funeral. I can't even remember. I remember feeling his presence at the funeral. But I do know that when I started doing very intense healing, because obviously that doesn't stop when you meet your twin flame, it just doesn't stop. And so Frankie at some point came up during my purging and integration process. After meeting Ty and being with Ty, I think I was already living with him, and I just remember bawling. That's when it hit me hard, when I could really feel it. And I just remember, it's, you know, it's one of those cries where you're like gasping for air and you're hyperventilating. You're like, you know, I was crying so hard, and Ty held me. He just held me. And that's one of the best things anyone can do, is like, there's no need for anyone to say anything. There's no need for you to say, I'm sorry. What are you sorry for? You didn't do anything. Although there have been moments when someone has said I'm sorry and it's kind of ticked me off in the very beginning. I mean, people just, it's just like, it's a generic but also programmed response, and I get it, because I think I've also said I'm sorry to people sometimes. But I think people who are grieving, we don't give a fuck about that, and you don't need to apologize. But a hug would be nice. Touch would be nice. But that's just me. Some people may not like touch. But feeling connection, you know, a hug. You know, a gentle touch on the arm or hand. Just being there and letting the person cry. Let them cry. Let them feel safe to cry. And, you know, food. I fucking love food. I love a good cup of coffee. A really good coffee. A cup of tea. Just something to show you care and that you're holding space. But you don't have to say I'm sorry. And just let the person cry. Because you know what? Maybe when you're there, when that person breaks down, maybe it's the first time they're ever breaking down. And maybe that's when they finally felt safe. Maybe something about you has activated something within them, so their heart can open up and so they can cry. You know, I feel safe with Ty. I've poured my heart out to him. When you're with your twin flame, that's, you have no choice. You have to realize that's it, and fall into them and just fucking melt into nothingness with them and let them hold you while you cry over any wound that's coming up. And so with Frankie passing, it's been no different. And like I said, I don't know what, I can't remember. It's so possible that Ty triggered me, because your twin flame is gonna trigger the fuck out of you here or there or constantly until you just clear tons of shit. But there's always stuff that seems to come up sometimes, you know, even if it's past life stuff. So you know, I've been trying to rack my brain. I've been trying to like use my logic to figure out why Frankie came back up. And you know what I need to tell myself as I'm recording is that it doesn't matter how he came up. I mean, and it's okay that he came up, and I know it's okay. It's just the analytical part of me that wants to know why. But point is that I needed to grieve. I needed to let go of pain, and I just began bawling. I mean, I think this is probably the second or third time in 3 years. 4 years, Jesus, 4 years. This is, like I said, probably the second or third time in 4 years that I've honestly felt it this deeply. And it was just that uncontrollable sadness just pouring out, and you could feel your heart, you just feel this movement in your heart, and you're like, and you're just crying uncontrollably, and snot's dripping down, your eyes are fucking puffed so far out, and you can't breathe out of your nose anymore. My phone keeps doing it. I don't know why. So maybe I need to make this video, bring it to a close, and I could talk about it more in another video. Maybe you have some questions or want to share your stories. Maybe you want to share how you grieved. I know I could have said more, but maybe I said enough. Sharing his story, sharing our friendship is therapeutic. Because I was telling Ty that I still haven't written about Frankie, as in, I haven't written on my website about him. I briefly talked about him in one of my videos about real friendships, but I haven't written about him. And when my other dear friend Carlito passed away, I wrote about it. I wrote about him. I wrote about our interactions. And it's not that Carlito was any less important. He was a dear friend of mine too. And in this life, I had probably known him for 3 to 4 years. So maybe that's just it. Maybe that's just because there's more history with me and Frankie. Plus, me and Carlito, we got to talk and clear things up before he passed. Like, he had stopped talking to me while I was in Italy, and he actually, like, right before I went to Italy, expressed to me that he had always cared for me, like, beyond friends. So I was like, whoa. But I was willing to see where that would go, so we stayed in contact while I was in Italy. But his ex popped back up, and he's very much, Carlito was very much like me and Frankie and a lot of other people, where the generous, soft empaths, whatever, and you know, he also just didn't know how to set boundaries, and, you know, loves with all of his heart. And so I can understand, right? I guess he just wasn't ready to break the pattern with her, and he restarted the relationship with her, and he stopped talking to me completely, which is why I was upset. I mean, we were such good friends that I felt like it would have been okay if he just told me what was happening. I would have understood, but he just stopped talking to me. So when I came back from Italy, he eventually reached out and apologized. And honestly, there's a blog post, I'll put it down below, because yeah. The point is that he reached out, he apologized. I wonder if any of you guys are noticing that too, the flashes of light. Because usually when there's like a flash of light around me, that's when spirit is here, or someone. So I'm guessing Frankie's here, and maybe, I hope he's not getting impatient. So I do need to bring this video to a close. I want it to be authentic, and I know I haven't shared videos on grief or Frankie, and I wanted to honor him. And on top of that, today is me and Ty's anniversary, May 10th. And last night I fell asleep crying and looking at old conversations between me and Frankie on Facebook. And Facebook won't let me scroll past May 11th, 2016. How funny is that? Literally exactly 4 years ago. And the conversation that we were having on May 11th was about Ty. That's when I met him. I had met Ty a few days before at work, and I was just like, I woke back up in the middle of the night and I was like, cuz, I need to talk to you. This guy at work, like, I've never experienced anything like this before in my life. It's so real and authentic, and we can't stop staring into one another's eyes. Cuz, wake up, talk to me. It was instant, like, talk to me. And I was talking to him about how literally when Ty and I found each other, Mercury retrograde shortly came after, like literally, it was obviously before May 11th because I mentioned it to Frankie. And I was like, so tell me why the guy I broke it off with popped up during Mercury retrograde. And he's talking all this shit to me. Like, he was trying to, I guess, basically reel me back into, like, you know, the push and pull, the dysfunctional pattern. He didn't want me to let go of him, but I had to let him go. And so he was trying to reinsert his energy into my life after I had cut our energetic bond and I had met Ty and was ready to start something new. So I thought that was interesting that that's as far as Facebook would let me go, to see that conversation. And I didn't realize it till I woke up this morning and saw the conversation again. I was like, May 11th. And then I looked up and saw that today's May 10th. And I'm like, oh my God, today's our anniversary. And I feel like shit. And I'm sad. And I'm grieving. And I feel like I look like shit. Although I'm sure I don't. But I just feel like I definitely could use a shower. My hair's knotty. I'm sweaty and breaking out from... This is old. This is just dry skin, so I definitely need to go take care of myself. That's the point. And the point is that I wanted to make a video as raw as this because this is real. You know, I'm not here to make videos just, you know, to get on and look pretty and get likes and views and shit. This is about I'm here to talk about real stuff and help people move through stuff, help people heal. And I'm healing too. And I know that it's possible I'm gonna cry about Frankie for the rest of my life in this life. I don't know. Like I said, I'll let you know. I just want you to know that however it is that you grieve, that's okay. We all grieve differently. So don't let anybody tell you you should be over it by now. Don't let anybody tell you you should be crying by now. Don't let anybody tell you anything, because you are unique and you'll process the information and the pain the way you know how and how you can. But if you would like to learn how to process things differently, yeah, there's people out there that can help you. You know, there's therapists, counselors, energy healers like me. Like, I personally can say that I could help clear away congested energy within your field and within chakras, which would allow and cause for you to let things flow, to let emotions come out. And I've witnessed it. It's happened to me, it's happened to my partner, it's happened to other people. So, you know, throwing it out there, if you do want that, I just want to let you know that I'm going to give you that assistance. I'm trying to get everything out before it keeps cutting off, and maybe Frankie's getting impatient. I'm going to go now. Have a beautiful day. I heard stores and shit opened up. I'm in Kentucky. I'm surprised, but whatever. I have a lot to say on COVID anyways. Be blessed. Namaste. Mitakoe oyasin. Arohanui.